Namo Buddhaya. I pay homage to the Blessed One, the Supremely Enlightened Buddha. Sadhu. I pay homage to my teacher, Kosala. Sadhu. So today we are going to learn few suttas. First one is uh, about the Buddha, and an enlightened being, an awakened being, but from the thoughts of a king. So we're going to learn how a very famous, powerful king placed confidence in the enlightenment of the Buddha, in the life of the extraordinary life of an enlightened being, and how he developed his faith and confidence in such a rare, extraordinary being. And that will help us also to develop that very valuable confidence in the enlightenment of the Buddha. So the name of the king is Pasenadi Kosala. King Pasenadi of Kosala. Kosala is the name of the kingdom, and the name of the king is Pasenadi. But he was known as King Kosala. Who is going to read first? Yes, Harry, you can start reading.
Okay. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Now, at that time, King Pasenadi of Kosala returned from combat after winning a battle and succeeding in his objective. Then King Pasenadi of Kosala went to the monastery. He went by carriage as far as the terrain allowed, then descended and entered the monastery on foot. At that time, several mendicants were walking mindfully in the open air. Then King Pasenadi of Kosala went up to them and said, "Sirs, where is the Blessed One at present, the perfected one, the fully awakened Buddha? For I want to see the Buddha." "Great King, that's his dwelling, with the door closed. Approach it quietly, without hurrying. Go onto the porch, clear your throat, and knock with the latch. The Buddha will open the door." So the king approached the Buddha's dwelling and knocked, and the Buddha opened the door. Then King Pasenadi entered the Buddha's dwelling. He bowed with his head to the Buddha's feet, caressing them and covering them with kisses, and pronounced his name, "Sir, I am Pasenadi, king of Kosala. I am Pasenadi, king of Kosala." "But great king, for what reason do you demonstrate such utmost devotion for this body, conveying your manifest love?"
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Very interesting reading. So, dear Dharma friends, you can see here in this discourse from the numerical discourses, the Anguttara Nikaya. When we study this sutta, you can see very clearly how compassionate the Buddha is, and even though Buddha is the leader of all the three worlds, the sensory realm, the form realm, the formless realm, Kamaloka, Rupaloka, Arupaloka. The Buddha is the this only refuge for all those beings in all the three worlds, and Buddha is the most powerful being, the extraordinary being, and people may think it's very It's not easy to, see the Buddha. It's not easy to get access to go and meet the Buddha, right? We have that divine kind of perception when we think about a master, about a leader. We think, somebody with psychic powers, divine, mighty, and we don't even get to see such an extraordinary being, let alone going to see him and talking to him, right? That's the normal way of things happening. But even though among all those imaginary, extraordinary beings, we can say uh, Buddha was um, Buddha was the true extraordinary being who discovered the one and only path to freedom, for liberation from suffering. But still, humans, devas, and Brahmas had the opportunity to go and see the Buddha, to meet the Buddha. And you can see here the king had a very rare opportunity to go by himself to the kuti of the Buddha. And there was nobody, no, guards there, right, to protect the Buddha. There were no people with weapons walking around the kuti of the Buddha that normally you expect, when you think about other ordinary masters, gurus, or whatever. There was nobody there. Monks were just doing walking meditation in the monastery under trees, the open air. And the king directly went to the kuti, the residence of the Buddha. There was nobody there, and just he approached the porch and knocked on the wooden door. Then was there anybody to open the door for the king? Was there anybody else? No, it was the Buddha himself. Emerged from his meditation, walked up to the door and opened the door for the king. Isn't that amazing? That's how true extraordinary beings act. And Buddha would normally, like as other monks, Buddha would usually go on his arms around with his bowl, begging for some food, from house to house in the city of Rajagaon, in the city of Savatthi, in the city of Kosala. And people get to see this very rare being. All the villagers, poor people, rich people, everybody gets to see the Buddha and gets the opportunity to offer some food into the Buddha's bowl with their own hands. So people generate powerful good karma. And also some people, even though they don't have anything to offer, they would come and pay respect to the Buddha, bow down to the Buddha, because Buddha is walking in front of their house, in their street. That's amazing. So then the Buddha opened the door for the king, and what happened? As soon as he saw the Buddha, the king, Pasenadi of Kosala, bowed with his head to the Buddha's feet. Can you imagine a king, a powerful king, the ruler of a prosperous, powerful kingdom? He knew that the Buddha was smarter and wiser than him, powerful than him. Buddha had achieved the end of suffering. King knew that. King was still immersed in the suffering, enveloped in the suffering. The Buddha was a liberated being. And the king knew that he was suffering with lots of defilements in his mind. But the Buddha was freed from all defilements and maintains a peaceful mind, a liberated mind. So caressing Buddha's feet with covering them with kisses, and he did so pronouncing his name. I am Pasenadi of King Kosala, King Kosala. So then Buddha asked, why do you have such kind of faith and confidence in me? What do you see in me? In the ordinary world, we don't want to ask that. If somebody appreciates us, praises us, right? We say, oh, very good, thank you so much. We don't ask why do you respect me so much? I don't think we normally ask that question, because we are already overjoyed with the praises and appreciation, and we want to keep that. So now we are going to learn the answer, the king's answer for that question. Who is going to read?
Budaya Bante, I can try.
Okay, Bodhi.
Sir, it is because of my gratitude and thanks for the Buddha that I demonstrate such utmost devotion, conveying my manifest love. The Buddha is practicing for the welfare and happiness of the people. He has established many people in the noble method, that is, the principle of goodness and skillfulness. This is the reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, the Buddha is ethical, possessing ethical conduct that is mature, noble, and skillful. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, the Buddha lives in wilderness, frequenting remote lodging in the wilderness and the forest. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, the Buddha is content with any kind of robes, alms, food, lodging, and medicines and supplies for the sick. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, the Buddha is worthy of offering dedicated to the gods, worthy of hospitality, worthy of religious donation, worthy of greeting with joint palms, and is the supreme field of merit for the world. This is another reason I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, the Buddha get to take part in talk about self-advancement that helps open the heart when he wants, without trouble and or difficulties. That is, talk about fewness of wishes, contentment, seclusion, of aloofness, arousing energy, ethics, immersion, wisdom, freedom, and the knowledge and vision of freedom. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love.
We rejoice in your reading. You can see here how this famous king collected all these good qualities of the Buddha, noble virtues of the Buddha. He knew that Buddha was practicing for the welfare and happiness of many people, showing the path to Nibbana, encouraging others to develop wholesome qualities. And he knew that it was a very rare thing in the world to find people to guide you in the wholesome direction, and sacrificing one's life for the benefit of others to guide them in the right direction, especially to put an end to the suffering of cycle of birth and death. And the king knew that that's the main purpose of the appearance of the Buddha into this world. And he had confidence in that. And also the king understood that it is very rare that somebody would maintain the ethical conduct, the precepts, the sila, the noble virtues, and it is in the Dharma we learn about 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, the precepts of a fully ordained monk and a nun. So if Buddha was able to teach precepts in such a remarkable way to his disciples, can you imagine the precepts that the Buddha followed by himself? When Buddha attained enlightenment, the Buddhahood, Buddha realized that it is painful to live without a teacher. I need a teacher too. And then when he was searching for a teacher, okay, I am leading this virtuous life and I am keeping these precepts, this ethical conduct, and if I venerate, if I honor a teacher, it is because that he is more ethical than myself. He is more virtuous than me. So he is able to teach me more precepts, more things about virtue. That way I can venerate my teacher, venerate and honor, because he's teaching me higher advanced qualities. So I can train in them, right? And then Buddha surveyed with his eye of Buddha all the worlds to find such a being to consider as a guru, as a teacher for him. And he realized the Buddha was already following the most virtuous life in the world. Among humans, among devas, among brahmas, among all beings, Buddha was the most virtuous person. So he couldn't find a teacher as an individual, as a being. What he finally did was, like, not only the sila, Buddha was looking for so many other qualities as well, like liberation, wisdom, concentration, and so on. He couldn't find anybody who was having higher qualities than the Buddha, possessing any advanced qualities than the Buddha. So what he did was he still needed a teacher. So he considered the Dhamma as his teacher. The Dhamma that led him to achieve all these qualities became his teacher. So the king had great confidence in the Buddha's virtue, virtuous life, restrained life, Buddha's sense restraint, the ethical conduct related to his bodily actions and verbal actions, especially. All the actions, all the bodily actions, verbal actions, for the benefit of himself and benefit of others. And the king also had confidence about the fact that the Buddha mostly spent time in forests, frequenting remote lodgings in the wilderness and the forest. And that is how all the enlightened ones spend most of their time, not socializing, just experiencing the bliss of the seclusion. The king knew that it was also a very respectable quality, the quality of worthy of appreciation. because and also it's a very difficult thing to practice. The king knew about it, because in the forest you don't have the pleasures of of a worldly realm. You don't have those pleasures. You don't get often sense pleasures, such as beautiful things to see, visual objects, music, sounds, smells, tastes, and tangibles. You don't get those things in the forest. So it is very hard for the ordinary people to spend that seclusion, to spend that secluded life, to experience the bliss of seclusion, because they are accustomed to enjoy the worldly pleasure coming from associating a crowd, living in the midst of people, dancing in groups of people, listening to music, enjoying with sense pleasures, always talking to each other, having partying, you know. So the king knew that this is also a very remarkable quality that the enlightened ones rejoice in. So he had confidence in that Buddha was practicing this noble, the secluded life. And also the king noticed the simplicity of the Buddha, the entire life. Even though there were kings, ministers, very wealthy people, rich people, attending on the Buddha, offering 4 requisites, robes, alms, food, lodging, and medicine. Still, the Buddha was detached from all those things. Buddha was practicing contentment. Buddha had the same compassion for the rich person, for the poor person. There was no difference. So that was also very rare quality he found in the Buddha's life. And even though people built beautiful mansions, palaces, even though they offered beautiful gardens, Buddha would often spend time sitting under trees, meditating inside a cave, and even sleeping at night under a tree, because the king knew that Buddha had realized the true happiness lies on the purification of the mind. It is nothing to do with the material things. Even though Buddha didn't have any of those material things, Buddha was the happiest being in this world. Some days Buddha would sleep under a tree, just spreading his robe, the extra robe, the double robe, folding it to 4, and he would spread that just on the bare ground, and Buddha would sleep. And there was no comfortable bed, no mattresses, no pillows, no bed, nothing. But Buddha was the happiest person still. And he would wake up early in the morning with his and serving the world with his eye of Buddha Chakku, with limitless compassion, and he would focus on helping somebody. And there was no complaints in his life. Oh, I didn't have a comfortable bed to sleep last night. There were no such complaints in his life. He was content what was available. So the king noticed that quality and he had confidence in that simple life of the Buddha. Contentment the Buddha practiced. And also the king realized that the Buddha was worthy of offerings dedicated to the gods and humans, worthy of hospitality, worthy of religious donation, worthy of greeting with joint palms. And he is the supreme field of merit for the world. By developing a pleasant mind towards the Buddha, by greeting the Buddha with joint palms, by offering a glass of water, by offering a chair to sit on, by offering a flower, even by offering a very small item, a gift. The givers, the donors will reap great benefits, great results that will lead to greater results in this very life and future lives of those donors. So the Buddha is the supreme field of merit for the world. And also the king noticed this very rare quality again in the life of the Buddha regarding Buddha's speech. Yeah, this is about the Buddha's speech. And there were 10 talks in the Buddha's speech. Buddha would always praise about the fewness of wishes, apicca, and there is another meaning for that, hiding your own good qualities, not showing off, not showing them off. And Buddha was encouraging people to be humble, not boasting of. And talks of contentment, santutti. Paviveka talks on seclusion. Asansagga, aloofness. Living alone, not socializing. Viryaramba, arousing energy. Buddha would speak about developing wholesome qualities and abandoning unwholesome qualities and arousing energy to do that. Viryaramba kata, sila kata. Importance of keeping precepts, 5 precepts, 10 precepts, 8 precepts. And talks on samadhi, concentration, about meditation. Panya kata talks on wisdom. Vimukti kata talks on liberation, freedom. Vimukti jnana dassana kata talks on knowledge and vision of liberation, freedom. And the king always got to hear the ordinary talks in the ordinary world. Talks about sense pleasures, talks about wars, talks about killing, talks about sexual misconduct, talks about possessing things, talks about all the worldly relationships, and sometimes people get tired of those ordinary talks and conversations, right? Talks about food, talks about countries, talks about all these worldly issues. People get tired of those things. So in the midst of those ordinary talks, the king noticed that Buddha's noble speech around these areas, and he had great confidence in that. Who's going to read next?
I will go ahead. Furthermore, the Buddha gets the 4 absorptions, blissful meditations in the present life that belong to the higher mind when he wants, without trouble or difficulty. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, the Buddha recollects many kinds of past lives. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000, 100,000 rebirths, many eons of world contracting, many eons of the world expanding, many eons of the world contracting and expanding. He remembers, there I was named this, my clan was that. I looked like this, and that was my food. This was how I felt pleasure and pain, and that was how my life ended. When I passed away from that place, I was reborn somewhere else. There too, I was named this, my clan was that. I looked like this, and that was my food. This was how I felt pleasure and pain, and that was how my life ended. When I passed away from the place I was reborn here, and so he recollects his many kinds of past lives with features and details. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, with clairvoyance that is purified and superhuman, the Buddha sees sentient beings passed away and being reborn, inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, in a good place or a bad place. He understands how sentient beings are reborn according to their deeds. These dear beings did bad things by way of body, speech, and mind. They spoke ill of the noble ones. They had wrong view, and they acted out of that wrong view. When their body breaks up after death, they're reborn in a place of loss, a bad place, the underworld, hell. These dear beings, however, did good things by way of body, speech, and mind. They never spoke ill of the noble ones. They had right view, and they acted out of that right view. When their body breaks up after death, they're reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. He understands how sentient beings are reborn according to their deeds. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Furthermore, the Buddha has realized the undefiled freedom of heart and freedom by wisdom in this very life, and lives having realized it with his own insight due to the ending of defilements. This is another reason that I demonstrate such utmost devotion for the Buddha, conveying my manifest love. Well, now, sir, I must go. I have many duties and much to do. Please, great king, go at your convenience. Then King Pasenadi got up from his seat, bowed, and respectfully circled the Buddha, keeping him on his right before leaving.
Sadhu, sadhu. Rejoicing. So again, the king of Kosala, he had confidence in the Buddha's meditation, the ability the Buddha had to develop, to experience the meditations, jhanas, anytime the Buddha wanted, wishes. And also he had confidence in the Buddha's knowledge of past lives. He was able to recollect his past lives with all the details. He knew that it was a very rare thing, so he had confidence in that knowledge of the Buddha. And also the king knew that the Buddha discovered the hidden thing behind each and every being. What is pushing beings to this and that world? What is behind this life? Why some beings are long-lived and others are short-lived? Why some beings are beautiful and others are not beautiful? Why some others are very rich and why others are poor? Why others are so influential and others are very strong, powerful, famous? Why some beings are healthy and why others are sick? Why some beings are wise and others are not so wise? and that was a question. There were no answers, the real answers for that question, until the Buddha discovered that the karma was the thing behind this difference. And the king had confidence in that extraordinary knowledge of the Buddha, the Chutupatanyana, of seeing how beings are born, how beings gain these different lives and spend, experience different things when they live, and how they die according to their own deeds, according to karma. And finally, the king knew that the Buddha discovered the Noble Eightfold Path, and through that, Buddha realized the only way to stop this cycle of rebirth is to realize the Four Noble Truths and purify the mind from all the defilements. Buddha achieved that purification and experienced the freedom from suffering. And that was Buddha's final life. So the king knew about that, and he had great confidence in that extraordinary knowledge of the Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Isn't that a very elaborative way of that somebody can develop confidence in the knowledge of the Buddha, in the life of the Buddha? Think about, like, he was not, I hope, I guess he was not a meditator like you, or frequent sutta reader. Think about a king, fighting with other kings, conquering neighboring kingdoms, ordering the army with lots of duties, such a busy person. But he was fortunate to gather these facts that existed in the life of an extraordinary being, so he can place confidence in that, and that confidence will benefit him a lot for this life and for future lives. He was so wise.
But he must also had a lot of humility to be able to see that in the Buddha and not just see what he was. So he must have had humility also as a king.
Yeah, that's true. That's a beautiful quality. If we are not humble, we are jealous. And then we only want to talk about ourselves and our achievements, our good qualities. If we are jealous, we don't want to talk about others' good qualities. Why others are superior to us, we never want to talk about this. Yeah, definitely it comes through humility, lots of humility. Any other comments or questions?
Bante, I think that the Buddha should also be praised as being really a great teacher. So not only his rare qualities and his knowledge and the wisdom, but he is able to impart to the world, to everybody. So I believe that something that we really have to be thankful for Buddha's being a great teacher.
Yeah, not only he realized the truth for himself, but also he sacrificed his entire life, 45 years, not just 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 45 years to teach the path to truths. Yeah, it's through limitless compassion.